Story that came out over the weekend, and I thought it was very interesting. It's a good look in on culture today and kids today, teenagers and younger. The Atlantic with the headline, "Has the smartphone destroyed a generation?" And I just saw a tweet that came out. There are over 3 billion social media users in the world, about 40% of the global population. Think about it, that's a lot of people on social media. This article from The Atlantic, it's a very long article, very, very long. So obviously I'm not going to read anywhere close to all of it. It'd just take way too long to do it. But the article basically gets into younger kids. Those, you obviously have the millennials, but then the generation after the millennials, which in this article she calls them the iGen generation. The group that had that Instagram account before high school. The group of kids that are growing up, they've never known a day without the internet. Unless you went on vacation somewhere and there was no internet wherever you went on vacation, and probably the kid was grumpy about it. The kid's never known a day without the internet. And the article gets into the lack of personal skills, but also some of the danger that people are getting themselves into when it comes to always being on the phone. That now you have different shifts in the economy and parenting and everything else. Teens seem to be content with just staying at home. They don't need to go out anymore. Remember when you were a teenager? You'd go out, you'd meet friends, you'd go over to one friend's house, or you'd go to the mall, you'd go to a restaurant, you'd go to the movie theater, you'd get together. Remember those days? When you'd leave mom and dad, you'd go hang out with your buddies. That doesn't, for a lot of teenagers, that doesn't happen anymore because they want to be on their phones. And everyone's connected on their phones nowadays. And one of the dangers that people are running into is that it's making teenagers feel more lonely if they don't have as many friends on Facebook, or they don't have as many friends on Instagram, if they don't get as many likes on Instagram or hearts or whatever else, that they get lonely because of it. But they have no need to get together anymore. This is why we've talked about before that you have teenagers that have really, they don't care about driving. It's okay. There's not that, when I was 14, but 15 years old, heading towards, I could not wait for the day where I could drive somewhere. Could not wait. Even if it was just to the store, I couldn't wait hey, I'll go. Mom, I'll go. I couldn't wait to get behind the wheel and drive. But now kids who are growing up today, they don't care about driving as much. And I've heard from a lot of people who they've got, kids who they have, no desire. It's okay. They're just going to play on their phones, and they can meet with their friends over the phones. It's where, we're wrapping up summer. You used to miss your friends during the summer, if you lived far away from them or whatever. No, not anymore. Everyone's connected. Everyone's connected on their cell phone. And it talks about how all these kids are now connected all the time, and they don't have personal skills. They don't have the personal. They don't know how to talk to each other. They don't know how to talk to adults. They don't know how to talk to other people because everything's just done on the phone. The Atlantic points out the number of teenagers who get together with their friends nearly every day dropped by more than 40% from 2000 to 2015. The decline has been especially steep recently. It's not only a matter of fewer kids partying, but it's also fewer kids spending time just simply hanging out. You might expect that teens spend so much time in new spaces because it makes them happy, but most data suggests it does not. The monitoring, the future survey funded by the National Institute on Drug Abuse, designed to be nationally representative, asked 12th graders more than 1,000 questions every year since 1975. Also asked 8th and 10th graders since 1991. The survey asked teens how happy they are and how much of their leisure time they spend on various activities, including non-screen activities such as in-person social interaction and exercise. In recent years, screen activities like social media, texting, and browsing the web, the results could not be clearer. Teenagers who spend more time than average on screen activities are more likely to be unhappy, and those who spend more time on average on non-screen activities are more likely to be happy. All screen activities are linked to less happiness, yet that's what kids do. 8th graders who spend 10 or more hours a week on social media are 56% more likely to say that they're unhappy than those who devote less time to social media. Admittedly, 10 hours a week is a lot, and those who spend 6 to 9 hours a week on social media are 47% more likely to say that they are unhappy. And like I said, it's a very, very long article, but it gets into this idea that kids are so used to just spending time at home and not getting out that it's actually hurting them in the long run. It's hurting their skills of interacting. But it's also it's making a lot of these kids depressed, it seems. It's very interesting. But you see it all the time, don't you? When you go to restaurants, when you go to now everybody's guilty of it. You've got from the younger crowd on up, but especially among younger, kids, whatever, that they're always on their phone, even when they go out to eat with their mom, dad. I brought the story yesterday that my wife and I went out to lunch on Sunday. You had a grandma there with her grandson. He wasn't paying attention to grandma. No, what was he doing? He was on his phone the entire time. And you see that everywhere. You see it at concerts you go to. You see it at ball games. Everyone's really addicted to their phones, but especially the younger generations, they're very addicted to being on that screen, and it's going to wind up hurting them later on in life. Let's go to the phones, and Brian, you're on KFYO.
Good morning.
Hey, Brian.
I just wanted to say I think it's a very serious situation. I have a daughter that's, we've been trying since she was 15 to get her to get a driver's license. She's graduated high school. She's 18 years old now, still has no driver's license, no ambition to get a job. We're trying to get her enrolled into college and still can't get her interested in getting a driver's license to get back and forth. And she's same way on social media all the time, and she seems depressed quite often. And she hit the nail on the head when she wrote that article.
Is it? And I mean it's sad, and it's something that it's hard for I think a lot of us to get because we couldn't wait to drive. We couldn't wait to get out of the house and see our friends and everything else. And I mean, is that the way she just talks to her friends over social media, and that's it? That's how they hang out?
That's it. Occasionally about once a month or so, they'll get together and hang out somewhere, but it's usually at somebody's house.
And she's not motivated by it. She's not motivated to get out and do anything.
Not at all. Not at all. I've even offered to help her start her own business. She likes working with animals, and I thought, well, maybe we could get her into working cows, and told her I'd finance her starting up and getting into the cow business and to feed her calves and stuff. And she done one set of calves, and she just back to sitting on the couch and didn't want to work anymore. She was done, and now we're stuck with another business raising feeder calves. So. Wow.
Well, Brian, good luck. I think there are a lot of people who are in your situation.
Yes, sir.
Brian, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good luck. That's sad, isn't it? I mean, you've got somebody who, how do you not want to leave the house? How do you not want to, whether you want to go to college or not, but how do you not want to go and see your friends or, drive? Couldn't imagine being 18 years old or 19 years old or 20 years old and saying, I don't want a car. I don't want an ID. I don't want a driver's license. I don't want any of that. I just want to sit on my phone all day. I just want to play and be on social media. But that's how younger generations, and I think this article does get into the back and forth. And it was Matt Walsh over at The Blaze. I've read his stuff before, where he says, this is part of the danger of you give that kid a cell phone at a very early age. Here you go. And it becomes that not only is it a toy, but it's part of that person now. And they are addicted to it. And that screen time becomes everything to them. Interesting. 770-5790. Toll free 1-800-687-0790. Chad Hasty Show, KFYO. If you've got any experiences like this, like when Brian is going through with his kid, you can call in, let us know about it. I think it's a growing problem in the U.S. Great article from The Atlantic you can look up. Has the smartphone destroyed a generation? We'll be right back. All right, Chad Hasty Show. News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO, and also on YouTube. All right, some text messages that have come in, then we'll get to the phones as well. Another texter. My almost 18-year-old daughter doesn't have any interest in driving. However, my 12-year-old son's a different story. And that'd be good news for the son, right? Yeah. Let's see another text. Parents are just as bad at restaurants. Well, yeah. I mean, and I think, it's starting to pick up, but those who are absolutely addicted, and parents still like to get out and do stuff. Parents still like to get out, and meet with friends and all that. What this article is basically saying is that this is going to turn into a mental, and already has, for many kids, turned into a mental health issue, to where, they're depressed. And even our last caller, who said that, his daughter's on social media all the time and has no interest in getting a driver's license, but depressed all the time. Very upset. Let's see, a text that also came in. Smartphones are as bad or even worse than drugs for younger kids. Advice, keep them away until they're older. Before I get to the phones, I want to read this part of the story because it gets to the driving issue. For some, mom and dad are such good chauffeurs, there's no urgent need to drive. Quote, my parents drove me everywhere, never complained, so I always had rides, a 21-year-old student in San Diego told me. I didn't get my license until my mom told me I had to because she could not keep driving me to school. She finally got her license 6 months after her 18th birthday. In conversation after conversation, teenagers described getting their license as something that they had to be nagged into by their parents, a notion that would have been unthinkable to previous generations. Yeah, I couldn't wait to drive. And
well, you'd have flopped over dead if your parents would have dropped you off in your senior year right there at the front door,
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. Yeah.
Love you. See you later.
And my
never
parents.
Heard the end of it.
Oh, they probably would have tried to embarrass me. Yeah. They probably would have tried to. But yeah, no, I couldn't. Once I turned 16, hey, driver's license. Let's go.
Time to go. Let's
take the day off of school. Let's go get the driver's license. I'm going to drive around for a little bit. This is a celebration, and. Of course, every parent, they get worried about their 16-year-old driving, but I'm pretty sure they were able, okay, we don't have to drive him around everywhere. Okay, this is great. He's got his, whatever, he's got a car, he can drive. This is wonderful. But, no, a lot of kids, they just don't, they have no interest in it. Now, we did have the one texter who said, 18-year-old daughter, no interest, 12-year-old son, can't wait. That's good. 12-year-olds can't wait to try. That's good. In my opinion, that's good. Let's go out to New Deal and Pearl. You're on KFYO.
Well, but this might be a little comparison. I have two grandsons, 14, 15. 14-year-old has a little part-time mowing for neighbors, and a 15-year-old works for somebody. And the parents decided, well, hey, if you want to pay the $40 physical fee to play football, that last year you broke your femur, was in the hospital 5 days and couldn't walk, and we really don't want you in sports. It's very expensive. You want the high-priced tennis shoes, and you want all the garb that goes with it and all the glory, but you don't want to pay for it. So if you want to play football, you pay for it. They have to pay for their own physicals if they're going to play. So, parents, if you want your kids off their rear, don't pay for their phone.
Yeah, well,
then they'll be more responsible. Mom and Dad's going to pay for everything. Pay my car insurance, pay my this, pay my that. We can pay our kids that.
Yeah.
They want to drive, they had to pay their insurance and get a job. If you don't work, you don't get a phone.
And you know what? You bring up a great point, and it's brought up in this story. Back in she brings up the writer of this article. Like I said, she goes very in depth here. In the 70s, 77% of high school seniors worked to pay to pay for gas and everything else, right? By the mid-2010s, only 55% of high school seniors had a job. The number of eighth graders who get work for pay has been cut in half. And the decline continues, and it's because the kids don't want to work. But yeah, I'm like, hey,
well, the guy
I'm like
says,
you. Get the parents
she just
out.
Don't want to work. I'm going to give her feeder cows. I'm going to give. Tell her, I'm not going to pay for your phone. Get off your rear. I don't care if I'm going to give you feeder cows or not. You get off your rear and get a job. I'm not paying for that cell phone. I say it just makes my blood pressure go to the top of these lazy kids.
I like
okay,
it, Pearl.
bye.
Have a good one. Chad Hasty Show, KFYO, your calls, text messages, and more when we come back. All right, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show, News Talk, 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO. All right, a few things that have come in on the whole, teenagers being addicted to cell phones. Let's see. Part of the story here, they went in and found across a range of behaviors, drinking, dating, spending time unsupervised. According to experts, 18-year-olds now act more like 15-year-olds of the past, and 15-year-olds act more like 13-year-olds. And the experts say that childhood now stretches well into high school, and it's all because the teenagers don't have jobs anymore. They don't have responsibilities anymore. And they're addicted to their phones. They spend all their time. They don't leave the house. So, this has ramifications, and it'll probably keep having ramifications going into the future. A texter weighing in. I'm 31. I wrecked my car at the beginning of my senior year. My dad had to take me to school for a couple of weeks until I got it fixed. It was horrible. I can't imagine doing that by choice. My dad said I couldn't drive the car until it looked good. I couldn't just get it running and start driving again. I couldn't fix that car fast enough. Yeah, I'm with you. It's the younger kids, the teenagers and younger, who many of them just have no desire at all to drive. That's why they say the economy will look different in the future. Is that people just don't want to drive anymore? Not me, not me. I love having a car. Absolutely.